Judge Samuel Junkin. It blows my mind that I can spend an entire day pointing out why and how something is a complete lie and still get comments repeating that lie. Obviously, I'm referring to the big fat lie that Judge Samuel Junkin out of the 24th Circuit Court out of Fayette County, Alabama, has been putting out in reference to letting a child predator out of prison extremely early, in fact, 12 years early than he was supposed to be, and putting him on house arrest. And then stipulations of that house arrest is he is allowed to travel from his family's home in Fayette County, Alabama, to their beach house in Gulf Shores. Now, it's about a 250-mile journey. So, and we've gone over that in previous episodes of how this Timothy Vess Benton is going to be able to just travel pretty much all over the state of Alabama and be in bathrooms and gas stations and restaurants. And then we continued to hear this lie that Judge Junkin has put out, and I have confirmed, like it's been confirmed, Judge Junkin is who this lie is coming straight from, that, well, he had to do this because Benton's parole hearing was coming up and he was probably going to be released from parole. So Judge Junkin did this so the state could still have control over Benton. Now, as I've said, I've pointed out exactly how and why that's a complete lie that Judge Junkin himself literally made up in his head and then started telling people. Now, why would he make up a lie? Because he knew that he was doing something extremely sketcy and shady and that it was going to piss a lot of people off, as it has. Now, I have pretty damning evidence now that points to even being more crazy. So let me say this: every single person, especially the ones that I respect and like and am friends with, whatever, that has sent me the nonsense lie from Judge Junkin, the one thing I keep going back at them with is, well, did the parole board also tell the judge that he needed to let him travel back and forth to his beach house? And every single one, well, no, I agree, that wasn't smart. Yeah, okay. Anyway, now we have documents, and you'll never guess when this beach house was purchased. This beach house was purchased by Benton's family on June the 13th of 2025. Now, why is that date significant? Because we now know on June 25th of 2025 is when Judge Junkin gave Benton a public defender, which again, and as we've discussed, a public defender is only supposed to be if you literally can't afford your own attorney. And, of course, Judge Junkin ruled that Benton couldn't afford his own attorney, which I'm guessing because merely 2 weeks before, well, not even a full 2 weeks before, they purchased $1 million beach house. Yeah. Again, Judge Junkin is sticking it to the taxpayers here, making us pay for this worthless excuse for a human being's attorney, letting him out of prison 12 years early, as he was originally sentenced to a 17-year straight sentence in Alabama Department of Corrections. And then Judge Junkin coming up with this lie of why he did it. Well, now we have verified, everybody listening, we have verified with the state parole board that they have never spoken with Judge Junkin in regards to this, that they hadn't spoken to anyone. And there was as close to a 0% chance as you could get that they would have released him on parole. So the parole board has said that they would not have released him on parole. Now we know that this was all premeditated and pre-planned by Benton's family, not Judge Junkin. That was not going to happen. And how do we know that? Because the beach house was purchased 2 weeks before Judge Junkin came out of nowhere in the middle of the night and wrote up this new order granting Benton a public defender a little over a month later, and then, ordered him to be released on house arrest. And as I've stated, part of that house arrest is he's allowed to travel back and forth from his Fayette County home to their beach house in Gulf Shores. Now, if after this, some of you still believe Judge Junkin, I can't help you anymore. So are we clear on exactly what has happened here? I've got the document here where the beach house was purchased on 6/13/2025 by Wendy Dawn Benton. And by the way, and I'll put that address here since it's not in the offender National Registry list as it's supposed to be, but it's not, because all reports point to Mr. Benton is still violating the law on all of this. And that address has not been released, is at this beach house right now, staying to anyone. It took us almost a week to even dig up this address. That address is 17519 State Highway 180 in Gulf Shores, Alabama. So again, the only address that's registered to Benton, so the only address he's supposed to be living and staying, is the 303 New Prospect Road in Fayette, Alabama. That's another issue with the registry, because his address listed in the offender registry is 303 Prospect Road. That's another issue with the registry. So the actual address is 303 New Prospect Road. Now, some of you may think that's not a big deal. It's a very big deal in the offender National Registry list. That address is supposed to be double confirmed, triple confirmed, and double checked that it is correct. I was able to figure that out in 5 minutes. So whoever's supposed to be supervising Mr. Benton is not doing their job. Shocking. Judge Junkin has done all of this. And if that wasn't bad enough, he has talked to one of the victim's fathers and spread this lie to him and has him believing it. And again, we went over all that yesterday, and that's a whole other issue, that Judge Junkin took it upon himself, and that it apparently was none of the other families, these victims' business what happened to Mr. Benton. But this one father, it was his. So he got to make the sole decision here. Victims sketchy, very sketchy. Hey, but again, we have a major issue in Fayette County, Alabama right now, and it all is 100%. And this is another thing. How are some of you still saying, well, this is not Judge Junkin's fault? Who the hell's fault is it? Judge Junkin tried to blame it. And that's why I'm getting messages and comments of, I mean, if you don't like the law, you need to call your legislators. There's nothing wrong with the law if you are not following. Judge Junkin has tried to blame this on the Alabama Parole Board if it was being enforced like it's supposed to be. Judge Junkin has taken the law into his own hands and thinks he can do whatever he wants to. And so far, he has been able to do whatever he wants to. Oh, and by the way, one thing that every single person that has taken up for Judge Junkin has in common, they all go to church with him. So here we are, hiding behind the Bible again. I'm telling y'all, if this doesn't fire you up, if this doesn't just piss you off what this judge has done, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Letting this offender back out on the streets and have this beach house, have this permanent beach vacation, while these victims are not. How some of you completely pathetic excuses for a human being can still take up to this judge, I don't know how. You need to go home and look at your own kids and try your best to put yourself in these victims' family shoes before you go out and try to defend this pathetic excuse for a judge again. Judge Junkin is doing something highly, highly corrupt, and we will eventually get to the bottom of it. Now, the last thing on the Fayette County situation today is tomorrow, which is today's Thursday, August the 28th. So tomorrow, Friday, August the 29th, there is a peaceful protest planned at the Fayette County Courthouse at 3 p.m. Central. And again, let me reiterate, peaceful protest, fully peaceful. I am planning on being there, but please try to come. And again, I hope as many of you that can join comes out and show that these victims and these victims' families that we do have their back and that we're trying to do everything we can to fix this peaceful protest. We are not going to do anything illegal in any way whatsoever. We're going to do everything the legal and right and correct way. If we didn't, then we would be no better than Judge Junkin. And we're not going to stoop to that. So again, there's some news stations going to be there. So please come out and so we can support these victims and their families. Completely peaceful protest is planned at the Fayette County Courthouse, 3 p.m. August the 29th at 3 p.m. Central.